What's up, guys? And welcome to some shopping for trades here. Like, I'll start off with a little bit bigger me. Hey, what's up? I don't know if you want to see my face that big, but um, anyways, so here's the deal. We've talked about my keeper conundrum going on in our Roll Tide League, and now I need to start figuring out what I'm going to do with some of these players and recouping some of these picks that I have traded away before. So, um, let's take a look at that really quick and see what's going on here. Okay, so also our streaming thing has a new layout here. What is this? Oh, I kind of like that. I don't hate that. Yeah, we'll go to the side for now. That's cool. Okay, anywho, so here's what I got going. Sorry, I got a couple things going here, getting stuff going. Okay, so again, just to kind of recap, I have a lot of players that are keeper worthy, and I need to figure out what to do with them because I can only keep two. Our Roll Tide is two keeper league. Currently, it's half PPR. There's still a poll going. We're trying to figure out if it's going to be full PPR or not. It's looking like it's going to stay half PPR, which is good for me. Well, I mean, it works out either way, but the reason it's good is because I'm thinking about keeping Derrick Henry. What's up, Total Football Analysis? How's it going, man? Um, so as you can see here, I have Murray, but he's not keeper worthy. So I've got Jones, Henry, Adams, Ridley, Kelsey, Eckler for a lot of teams, maybe keeper worthy, but for this, it's not for me. If we gone full PPR, um, more so for sure. I feel like, but not in this case. So let's see. Um, Where am I wanting to start? I'm going to keep Derrick Henry. If it's half PPR, I'm keeping Derrick Henry for sure. I think if it's full PPR, I'm keeping Derrick Henry. And again, like we talked about in our last video, I was not considering Derrick Henry to be in my top two. I was kind of on the Kelsey, maybe Ridley or Adams, something like that, with the full PPR, it would have been different. But since it's half PPR, it's going to stay half PPR. I'm keeping Derrick Henry. That trade of Julio Jones to me opens up Henry up the middle even more, as if he needed that help. He didn't need that help, so that's going to be awesome for me, I think. Okay, so anyways, I need to find some trades. I don't have my first round pick this coming draft, and I don't have my second round pick. That's the only way I had this roster to win this championship. I mean, you don't just get this roster without trading away some future picks. So um, let's see. Our draft is in 74 days, almost 75 days. And here I am like, oh, I better get to work on this, but I better get to work on this. Okay, because if I don't, Kyle will, and I need to be careful on that. So let's see. I've already got a couple trades here. So I've got them outstanding. There's been little to no contact with these guys about these trades. I've had a little bit of back and forth on one of them. So let's see. Let's go back down here to the bottom. So I have a couple trades out to Donnie on his team. He is a Packers fan, and I'm trying to play to that. I have Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. Let's look at his team really quick. Keeper options, okay? Right now, he has Mahomes, Chubb, and that's looking kind of like it on keeper options. I'm not seeing much more if I were him. Oh, Justin Jefferson. I missed him. Yeah, so Jefferson. Um, if I'm him, I'm sorry, I'm just not high enough on Justin Jefferson yet. I could see him. He's really high on Patrick Mahomes. I mean, who doesn't love Patrick Mahomes? But in this league, it's pretty rare for anyone to value quarterbacks that highly enough to keep them. Uh, he kept Aaron Rodgers in the past, but that's when Aaron Rodgers was, I mean, he was going off for ridiculous amounts of fantasy points. And again, he's a Packers fan, so I don't blame him there. Mahomes, I think he kept maybe last year, but in my opinion, I don't think it's smart to keep Mahomes not in this league. I think Mahomes went back to the draft. Mahomes wouldn't even be drafted first round in this league. He might be drafted second round, but even that I doubt. Just because of the quarterback scoring, it's kind of standard. There's nothing special about it. So um, let's see. Does it bring up his scoring? Yeah, I mean he was the number 4 quarterback last year, but yeah, I mean I don't think he's valuable enough for a keeper in this league, in my opinion. So Chubb. So anyways, Chubb and Jefferson, I offered him up some deals here. I offered him Aaron Jones for his second round pick. I don't Donnie won't give up his first round pick. I already kind of know that from the past. I don't necessarily blame him. At this point though, I have no first or second. I'm pretty desperate. I don't think anyone's going to give up their first, and I don't blame them there necessarily because most of these teams have keeper worthy players. They could just upgrade on them quite a bit. So that's what I'm kind of banking on, is them wanting to upgrade their keepers. Um, but it just depends on their mindset. For me, I want my keepers to be as good as possible. I do not want to settle for a keeper. I don't think I don't think it's worth settling for a keeper and like saying I don't want to give this guy a pick, or I don't want to give up a pick, and keeping someone that you can get in the second or third round, which technically, because of the 2 keepers, would be like in a redraft. That'd be the equivalent of like 4th or 5th round players, right? So for me, I wouldn't want to settle for that. Some of these guys are willing to do that. That's just not my game plan. I want my keepers to be as strong as possible so that starting off that draft, I have a really, really solid start and starting roster there. So that's my plan of attack. Something like I said, some of these other guys don't think that way. That's fine. Um, that's their prerogative. Can't judge Donnie. He's won the championship 2 times, 3 times, possibly, maybe 3 actually. It's kind of silly. So, um, let's see. I offered him another one that was Adams and Jones for Chubb in his second. Um, that one was just making him give up Chubb so that he couldn't um, trade Chubb off to somebody else, essentially. Either way, I'm not keeping Adams or Jones. Oh, okay. Donnie won twice. Kyle just reminded me Donnie has won twice. So Donnie's won twice. Austin's won twice. Kyle's won 4 times. I don't know. Maybe Austin's won 3. There's only been 4 people win, and that's Donnie, Kyle, Austin, and now me this last season. So those are the only people who have won this championship. Um, Kyle's won 4 times, Austin's won 3 times, Donnie's won twice, and now I've won 1. So that's all 10 seasons right there so far. So let's see. Let's get further into this. Let's see. Yeah, I just want to take Chubb there. Uh, Donnie's busy. I might get to converse with him here. He likes to wait till closer to season, which sucks for me, someone who really likes to trade year round. That's why these dynasty leagues are so great that we've gotten into this year. Because yeah, I like to do stuff year round. Okay, so come up here really quick. Austin. Let's look at Austin's team really quick, and then we'll cover that trade offer that I got in him. So Austin's team right now. He has Swift, Hill, and that's it. It's kind of keeper worthy on his team. Swift, again, it's one of those. I think if we go to the draft, Swift probably isn't getting drafted. He might get drafted that first round. Depends. I could see that happening actually. So maybe first round, but I don't think people are going to be chomping at the bit to go get Swift. There's too much iffiness around Swift. Even I'm hesitant on getting Swift just because there's a lot of unknowns there, and that's not my type of style. I don't always go with unknowns, especially at running back. I have a hard time on risky like that. Um, because fantasy football is already so risky and such a coin toss that it's hard to then go for a player that's also kind of a coin toss like that. It's worrisome for me. Um, but sometimes you can't avoid it either, or especially in more of a dynasty league. I feel like uh, taking him in a dynasty league is less risky than taking him this year or keeping him this year in like a keeper or redraft league. I think he's 1 year out from gaining my trust. I think I want to see what he does this year. See what his coaching staff does this year too. Um, so with Swift and Hill, he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So looking capitalize off of that, Kelsey was like a no-brainer keeper to me. I was going to keep him, especially if we went PPR. Oh my gosh, it was going to be gold, right? But then again, that Julio trade happened as we covered in our last video, and yeah, that's it. It changed some things for me. Calvin Ridley, I think, jumped up to be just a top wide receiver, and it's going to be hard not to keep a top young wide receiver for me. So, um, I may not keep Kelsey now. It's still up in the air. I'm still not sold on it. You guys know how I feel about having a top tight end like that, and the top tight end easily in Travis Kelsey. But if I can make it worth my while, we might be talking. So, um, that's what I'm going to try to do. And if I don't get the trade, fine. If I do, great. I have plenty of keeper options. I need to try to get some picks back one way or another. So, if he's not super high on Swift, which I would be, I would want Kelsey way more than Swift as a keeper, personally. So let's see. I offered him Kelsey in my sixth round, which is 6'10, for his second rounder, which is 2'7, and his fifth rounder, which is 5'4. So I'd get essentially 2'7 and then move up 16 spots in there. I expect maybe a little bit of back and forth, but I also feel like that's more than fair. When I see some of these trades that like Kyle's getting and stuff, he essentially traded um, Gibson to move back 2 spots in the first round and then gained a second round pick. If Gibson's worth that much, Kelsey is easily worth this much. I'm sorry. Because Kelsey is way more valuable than Gibson at this point, in my opinion. So, um, I think that's more than fair. It's just these guys are very hesitant to trade with me and Kyle in the first place. And so, but I think something will come to fruition there because it's hard for a Kansas City Chiefs fan not to want Travis Kelsey. So, and I don't blame him there. Let's see. Okay, so a trade recently took place in here, and it was this over here, Ben and Nick. This was left over from during season. There was a trade that happened um, to try to Nick would made it to uh, try to win the championship. He made it to the championship, but then of course I beat him. Just to throw that out there again, I'll probably mention it multiple times in the next year, probably for the rest of my life, honestly. And so this is left over from that trade. There was an agreement of, okay, we'll do this part now, and then in the off season, I'll trade you Dalvin Cook for a second rounder. It was a good move. It was a good trade. So on Ben's part and on Nick's part, I mean, but I bet Nick really hates giving up Dalvin Cook, but he also has really good keeper options on his team, so not a huge deal. Let's see. Let's look at Nick's team really quick. After that trade, oh, he still has Hopkins, which so he has Kamara, but he also has Hopkins left over. So I'm guessing that's exactly who he's going to keep. Ooh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I still wouldn't keep him probably yet. So he's probably going to keep Hopkins there. Would be my guess. He's a Texans fan, and so he still has that love for Hopkins, and Hopkins just, I mean, that's a good keeper option. Hopkins is great, so he'll probably keep them. He's got good options there. So losing Dalvin Cook isn't great, but at least he still has good options. And but for Ben, this is really good. So, in my opinion, okay, so Ben now for good keeper options. CD Lamb, young and good dynasty, but not a keeper option in this league, I don't think, or I wouldn't consider him. But he has Cook and Mixon, and I 100% guarantee that's who he's looking to keep. That's who I would look to keep on here. So he's got Cook and Mixon, but I don't know how high he is on Mixon. He's an OU fan in college, so uh, all of us OU fans have a love for Mixon, and but Mixon just hasn't he hasn't proven it yet, and um, so there's a little hesitancy there. Even on rankings and stuff, he's a little bit lower. So I offered him up, and I let him know there's some flexibility in this, but I offered him up Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley for Dalvin Cook. So to me, this is a good move for both of us because it downgrades his running back keeper from Cook to Jones. But in my opinion, it's an upgrade to keep Ridley over Mixon. Ridley right now is who I'm probably keeping with Derrick Henry. So, but and then my second keeper would go from Ridley to Cook. So for me, I would be keeping Henry and Cook, and for him, he'd be keeping Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley. And honestly, that's pretty good because essentially he would be giving up a second round pick to keep Jones and Ridley. It's not bad. That's a pretty good move on his part. And in my opinion, that would be a smart move for him. Because if I'm looking over at rankings, I'm going to pull over Fantasy Pros. This is just draft rankings. We've looked at a lot of dynasty rankings on here, but these are just draft rankings. So let's see. There's Derrick Henry. I got Derrick Henry. Dalvin Cook is number 2. And then if you come down here, Joe Mixon on theirs is 20th, which I'm kind of surprised they have really. I guess Justin Jefferson's the only one I'm really surprised he's after. The rest, I feel like he kind of falls back here in the same like Antonio Gibson, maybe even Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year, DeAndre Swift. Yeah, beyond that, I think it's another tier. So he kind of, to me, he mixes in kind of, it's a toss up between him, Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Swift. I feel like those are all kind of mixed in there together. And so it could be any of those at that number 20 and spread upon there. So, but if I trade him Ridley and Jones, they're ranked at 16 and 11th respectively there. And so, yeah, again, he would be dropping from Cook to Jones in these rankings. And then he would be rising from Mixon to Ridley. And I would dare to say Ridley deserves to be higher on this list, probably above Hopkins, wide receiver wise. I think that Calvin Ridley is going to have a really, really spectacular year. And so I would put him probably above Hopkins if I was ranking these. And then Aaron Jones, I would actually probably have him and Chubb swapped. Chubb is a better running back. I feel like he's a better runner, but I feel like because he shares with Kareem Hunt, I don't know. I would probably switch those, I think. The rest of these I actually pretty much agree with. So, but that could just be me overvaluing these players because of this trade that I'm trying to join. So it's possible I'm doing that. But again, I let him know there's some flexibility. So if he prefers Adams over Ridley, um, it messes up opportunities for me to trade with Donnie. But I would be willing to miss that opportunity to get Cook. What also hurts Aaron Jones is that he just doesn't have a really good schedule apparently. But again, this is based off of last year's defenses, so it's a bit of a toss up. And honestly, that offense, if Rodgers stays, then that's fine. I mean, that offense is not going to get shut down by anyone. Let's be completely honest. They probably play a good defensive schedule every year, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they play. So I would be willing to give him Jones and Adams if he thinks that's more fair. I would be willing to do it to go ahead and get Cook again. I think that's a smart move on his part. Whether he goes uh, Jones and Adams or Jones and Ridley, I feel like both of those are um, a good move. I don't think like this has Ridley and Mixon 4 uh, ranks between them, and I think the gap is bigger than that, honestly, in my opinion. So, come over here to the score rankings really quick. If we say half PPR, here's the top 200. They have Cook at 2 as well. And then if you come down here, let's see. Kelsey at 11. Of course, they have Ridley up at 13, Jones at 14. But they have Mixon all the way up at 16, which is weird. They have Adams all the way at 17. If Rodgers stays, Adams is not this low. I don't agree with these rankings. I don't agree with AJ Brown being at 23. It's like they dinged him for Julio being there, and I think that's a wrong move. Yeah, I don't agree with those rankings. Then it kind of becomes just the same as the others. Mike Davis is climbing the board. Look at that. Okay. I also think Kittle deserves to be higher, but that's outside of this conversation. Um, Eckler at 18. I would actually put Eckler even at half PPR. To me, he's above Mixon, and for me, Akers, just because we don't know enough about Akers. We don't have a long enough stretch of knowing about him as we do with Eckler. So I would move Eckler up too. But um, yeah, Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley. I don't think Joe Mixon's this high on this list. I think it's silly to have him above Adams, Eckler, Metcalf, maybe even Jefferson, definitely AJ Brown. They have him too high. I don't agree with that. Again, he falls down here. I mean, let's be honest. Najee Harris may outproduce Joe Mixon this year. I mean, we just don't know about Mixon right now either. So I don't think he deserves to be at 16th overall. That's weird to me. So disagree. Let's see where he would fall in PPR. These guys, Dalvin Cook says about the same. These are all kind of about the same, actually. Calvin Ridley gets a little bit of a bump, it looks like. And Aaron Jones. Yeah, these all kind of stay the same. Oh, they jump Devontae Adams here. Okay. In a full PPR, they have Mixon over Eckler, Metcalf, Jefferson. Yeah, no. These guys, I'm questioning these ranks right now. I'm not agreeing with these right now. Call me crazy, but there's no way in a PPR league that Joe Mixon is above these guys. Fake news, guys. Fake news. This is whoever's making these rankings over there is looking like this. They can't see these players well or something. Doesn't make any sense because I'm looking at them right now, just like what is going on. So yeah, I'm not agreeing with these at all. I look, yeah, I like these way better over here, and I still think they're still a little off, but I'm not a pro, so what do I know? Again, gut feeling, just based off of what people have done for me. So anyways, I think that's a really good opportunity. I think I can actually pull that one off just because it makes a lot of sense, in my opinion, for both of us to make that move. So I could see that working. And then I did another one to Donnie just for Adams. Unfortunately, I went for his third there because I think it would be easier. And there's just some uncertainty with Adams. I think he should jump at this right now because once it's determined that Rodgers is coming back, I'm not trading Adams for his third. I don't think I could do that. So I'll let him go back to the draft. Because I don't know. Let me see. Draft position 3. Oh, he may get him back in the draft. Who knows? But I'll make him waste his first round pick on that. So, anyways, those are some trades I'm doing there. No one else in here that I know of. Kyle definitely doesn't need keepers. I mean, he has Akers, McCaffrey, and then even if he's not keeping Akers, he's got Brown and Kittle. Like, to me, those are great keeper options. Donnie, we looked at him. Chubb is his best. Jefferson, again, for me, not a long enough track record to want to keep him here. For me, Mahomes, keeping quarterbacks in this league, not a thing really. Jared's is interesting. I clicked on the wrong one there. Jared is Michael Thomas. He's an Ohio State fan, so he loves Michael Thomas. I don't know if he's quite keeper worthy now, but he's going to keep him. A little bit of a homer. Most of us are in this league, so I'm not blaming him there. And then he traded a second round pick for Aaron Gibson to keep him. To me, that's questionable. I think he could have gotten a better player at the same value. So that's his loss. He should have came knocking. I would have given him a better player for the same value. Hey, his loss, whatever he wants to do, I guess. Gibson, another one of those with an unproven track record, a bunch of hype. Haven't seen it yet. I mean, he's good, but I want to see a longer track record than that before giving up a second round pick. I feel like different strokes for different folks. Okay, Ray's team. He's probably going to keep Metcalf, and he has another keeper here. Oh, Saquon Barkley. So Barkley and Metcalf, and I think those are solid. Again, I'm not listening to these rankings over here. These are silly. Metcalf is not that low. And I mean, he's 19 over here too, but at least he's above Mixon. So that makes sense. I don't mind the 19 rank. I think I'm just flabbergasted by Joe Mixon being above them. Sorry, I'm still on that. That's weird, man. Doesn't make sense to me. So, okay. So he's got keepers. He ain't moving. Brandon has Taylor and Diggs. I'm not super high on Taylor yet. I know the hype there is outstanding, man. I am just not on that train yet. Yeah, Derryberry selling that Gibson hype. Man, I'm not on that Gibson hype yet. Like I was last year, and then they didn't use him the way I thought they were going to use him. There's just hype on so many players right now. So everyone, like, every time a player's mentioned, everyone's like, "Oh, have to buy that player." And then the next little thing comes out and just, okay, buy that player. Like every time, every day, coaches are saying something about camp with their players and how they're impressive and how they're showing out. Like it happens every day with almost every player. So I'm not buying into that hype yet. I'm going off of, again, it's a lot of gut feeling. That's how I play this game a lot. And then just what's your track record look like? So Jonathan Taylor to me doesn't have much of a track record. He had a good end of the season with a super easy schedule. So that's what I see there. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They got Marlon Mack back and they still use Hines. Like, to me, that is still a committee backfield. That's just me. I mean, he finished at the number 6 running back PPR, but again, he had that huge stretch at the end, that outlier 37.9 point game that really boosted those stats. And 21, 29.5, 17.5, 19.4, 37.9. And that was on an easy schedule. So, not necessarily on that hype train either. Sorry, guys. But, and then Diggs, yeah, I'd keep Diggs. I'm cool with that. But, it is what it is. That's cool. I don't see him moving on from that. If he wants to keep Jonathan Taylor, then that's fine. Yeah, they must think Mixon is going to get the targets without Geo. I think that's what people are thinking, but from what I've read, from what I've heard and read and stuff, that's probably not going to be the case, which is silly to me because Mixon is a great receiver. I think it's so silly how he's been used, and I think that's just one of those coaching situation things for me, that it just depends on the situation for players, right? Like Mixon should be he should live up to his hype. He should score outstanding numbers, but they just don't use him the way they should. They should throw the ball so often because when he was at OU, they threw the ball to him. They would line him up out there in the slot sometimes, like little H back there. Like throw him the ball. He can catch the ball very, very well. And so he should be much higher, but they just don't use him like they should, in my opinion. Um, and now with his injury, they may be even more careful with him. I don't see them ramping him up more and wearing him down quicker. I just don't see them doing that. Um, especially, yeah, I mean, last year's injuries, they're probably going to try to protect their players as much as possible. And then they went and got a wide receiver instead of an offensive lineman in the draft. What do I know? Anyways, so then yeah, I agree, Daniel, that coach speak means nothing. I agree. They're always going to hype up their players. They're always going to say good things. So I'm not listening to that coach hype at all because they're saying it about like fourth string wide receivers. Then everyone's like, oh, go pick up these wide receivers now. They're going to be amazing. And it's like, what? I mean, they're saying it about their fourth string wide receiver. They've got three superstars in front of them. Like, guys, don't go pick them up. That's silly. Don't do that. But they're doing it with all their players right now, and people are just taking all this to heart a little too much. Like you see them talking about some of these running backs now, like, oh, I don't really believe in an all like a 3 down back or something. God, like, who cares what the coach says right now? Like coaches say the weirdest things. Daniel, you know that we played high school ball together. Actually, we played ball from what third grade on. Geez, um, so we played our entire football careers together. We know coaches say the darndest things. Like they should have an entire show. They have kids say the darndest things or whatever. They should have an entire show with just football coaches on there from all levels. I've heard the weirdest things come out of their mouths. Coach speak is weird, man. Like take it with a grain of salt. Get like a scout out there or something. Watch them press even. So that's the one thing where I would trust press more than the coach. Um, yeah, like this is a great point, Daniel. Or they look good in OTA with just shorts on. What does that even mean? Yeah, 100%. It's so much different kicking in full pads and then being in shorts and a helmet. So different. Um, being a kicker, uh, it was the same for me. It was way different going out and kicking with nothing, no pads or helmet on, and then switching over to full gear. It's a totally different thing, and it's much much more difficult. So um, when we see players out kicking and fooling around with no uh, pads and stuff on, and they're kicking, 65-yard field goals, that's fine and dandy. But you get out there with pads and then a snap and a hold and a rush and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's totally different. So yeah, OTA with just shorts means nothing probably. So, okay, let's get back over here. Austin, let's look at his team. We already did. Swift and Hill are his two keeper options. I think he can upgrade Swift quite a bit there, in my opinion. Fletcherizer, Cassidy. Okay, so Cassidy has Amari Cooper and he has Zeke, and he's keeping both of them 100%. He's a huge Cowboys fan. Why would you not keep Zeke? I had him in this league and I gave him up last year because I wanted to win the championship. And so I finally gave up Zeke. He wasn't performing well last year. We all know the story. So I gave him up and I got like Kyler Murray and Calvin Ridley, and it helped me. What can I say? And then let's see. Ben, we covered him. Um, right now he's looking at Mixon and Cook. I think he can upgrade Mixon for sure. And then Nick, we covered him too. He's got Kamara and Hopkins. He's set. So really, these are my only 3 trade options because I think I can upgrade Austin from Swift. I think I can give Donnie a solid second keeper, and then think I can give Ben a good second keeper option there too. Um, Daniel says Zeke is about to wash out. I actually disagree with that. Zeke had a really bad year last year. Him and Dak, man, they feed off of each other. And you can tell something went wrong with Zeke mentally. When he lost Dak, things changed. And I mean, he started fumbling the ball. He just wasn't himself. And you saw a flash of the old Zeke at the end of last season when everyone started talking up Pollard and how he might be better than Zeke and stuff. And that maybe motivated Zeke a little bit more. And so you started seeing him actually run hard again. Whereas for most of the season, Zeke didn't even look like he was trying. And it was kind of sad, man. It was really sad to watch, and it hurt me in fantasy for sure. So um it wasn't good. I don't think he looked good last season. He fumbled the ball too much. Mentally, he was just out of it. And having Dak back now, I think, is going to help him tremendously. And also, if he can keep an offensive line healthy, my goodness, last year, not only we lose Dak, but then we lost our offensive line, like every single one of them. And so, I mean, it just was a bad situation. Pollard was able to pull it off, though. So Zeke really had not that much excuse. I think his was all mental. And then I think you get Dak back out there and you're good to go. With that receiving core, it opens up uh Zeke's running lanes even more. I don't think Zeke's gonna wash out soon. I don't think so. Um Zeke, let's see. Let's go look at Zeke really quick because now you got me wondering. Oh, Fletch. I mean, Zeke's 25. He's got 5 years under his belt. I mean, his numbers last year were brutal, man. I think those last two games were like some of the only games he went hard in for most of last year. Like he's got some good numbers in here, but I mean, most of those are at the very beginning with Dak, and then you can tell once Dak was gone. I mean, it was ugly. It wasn't a pretty season. So, um, but I mean, he was producing those first games with Dak, and then that first game without him. I mean, they gave him 19 carries there, but I don't know. It was just not great. Look at this game. Man, 11 targets. He had 10 targets here. He's getting some quality targets. I didn't realize that. They need to throw Zeke the ball more. Man, they need to throw him the ball more. Honestly, that offense is best when Dak is running the ball. They're throwing to Zeke. When they're switching stuff up like that and utilizing all their players correctly, whew, it's gross. I mean, you've got those DBs and linebackers chasing those receivers and stuff out there. It opens up Zeke for receptions. It's silly not to do it. That's when we're at its best. Yeah, Daniel, I agree. He has a lot of carries on him, but I mean, not everyone wears down like that either. But I think they're gonna use Pollard more. They like they kind of did last year. I think they started using Pollard a little bit more. Um, and so like you see here, he goes from his snap percentage, I believe is what this column. Yeah, snap percent 88, 89, 98, 76, 82. Then he goes down 62, 67, 78, 65. Like his snap percentage went way down, like all the way down into the 50s, 60s. I think it's going to continue at that. I think that they're going to keep using Pollard more, but those goal line opportunities are still going to be there. The opportunity is just there. He's going to get his fantasy points. I mean, down here where his two games that were in the 50% snap percentage were, I mean, he scored double digits, so he's fine. He's not quite elite like he used to be necessarily, which this year will tell. Having Dak, if their offense stays at full strength, time will tell on that if he's still elite or not. But um it's hard to say. I just don't feel like he's creeping out on the washout part quite yet. So, but I could be wrong. But even with a down year, he was still the number 11 running back in standard and 9 in PPR. And he had a bad year. Let's be honest. I mean, he just didn't do good. And he still was that high in the rankings. That's kind of wild. I didn't realize that. So I traded his butt away because to me, he was hurting me. And he was still technically that high. Huh. Weird. But he had a couple outlier 20-point games. He had about 3 20-point games up here. So that really boosts you. But anyways. Okay, so that's kind of the situation I'm dealing with right now in Roll Tide. I'm hoping to get at least one trade. I don't honestly, I'd be happy with any of these trades. If just one went through, I would be happy with it. So I'll keep y'all updated on that. I know I've been talking about this Roll Tide League and the keeper conundrum that we've been having. And then now my keepers have gone from these players to these players. Guys, it's too much time to think about it. It's too much time. So it's driving me crazy, and I can't wait to finally get it moving. What did I say? We had 75 days. Let me close this. No, 74 days, 19 hours, 18 minutes. Not counting or anything. I mean, who's counting? The cool thing is we will be in Denver. We're traveling to Denver for this. We should have all but one league member in Denver with us. We're traveling out there. Jared in our league lives out there, and so we're going to visit him, and we'll draft out there with him for the first time. It's season 11, and we've never drafted live with Jared. So we're super pumped to be able to go out there and get to spend some time with him. He's usually on the Skype. And so not this year. Not this year. Got my flight booked yesterday and got a place booked. Just kind of holding it right now. Maybe we can find something closer to downtown that won't cost us a fortune. And that's gonna be a fun trip. I'm looking forward to that. Coming back over here to Daniel. Um, let's see. He going back to the Zeke thing. Really said he said, yeah, I think he's going to be a RB2 for Wash compared to where he was out of the league. Yeah, I'd still be happy with him as my RB1. I think I'd have to have a solid RB2. Eh, yo, yeah, I think that's hard. I think if he's paired with someone else, then yeah. And yes, Daniel, Mile High City, LOL. Yes, you are correct on that. um, so might be practicing it on that too. Anyways, that's our situation. 74 days in Denver. Can't wait. And we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.